Hello everyone, my name is Smooth Blue, and today we are going to be talking about Spyro the Dragon.
Huh? Looks like I've got some things to do.
Spyro the Dragon is a character who was created by Insomniac Games as a way to compete with other child-friendly platformers like Mario. Because at the time, Insomniac Games would make games for the PlayStation system which focused more on mature gaming at the time, which limited the number of gamers that they could attract. So wanting to expand their reach to pull more gamers towards the PlayStation, Insomniac Games decided that they would be a platforming game designed to attract people of all ages. And this was the starting point that would lead to the creation of Spyro the Dragon. As they would come up with ideas for platformers, the idea to play as a dragon came up, and the designs for the character started soon after. At first, he was too big of a dragon, and the creators decided to make the dragon smaller and more child-friendly. As they would work on the dragon's design, they would work on his color, which went through multiple changes, because the dragon was originally green and would blend into the grass that was all over the stages of the platformer that they were creating. They experimented with different colors and landed on the color purple, which allowed him to pop out and be easier to see, and also made him more memorable. The dragon still needed a name though, and many ideas were thrown around or thrown out as a way to avoid copyright problems. And they would land on Spyro, and it stuck. The game would be released in 1998 and would have slow sales, but once the December holidays came up and the game would be purchased as presents, more people had fun with the game and would spread word about how fun the game was to play, and sales quickly skyrocketed, allowing Spyro to cement himself as an iconic PlayStation mascot. With that little history lesson out of the way, let's talk about the Spyro the Dragon remake, or also known as the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. As someone who grew up playing the original trilogy, I have to say I was as happy as a deranged goose attacking innocent joggers as they crossed my path. The idea of playing the games with modern graphics and controls was a very alluring concept to me. I mean, it worked out greatly for the Crash Trilogy remakes, so why wouldn't it work for the Spyro Trilogy? I didn't get the Trilogy remake as soon as it came out, and waited some time before getting it, and when I got it, I have to say, it brought me back to my youth, and I was not disappointed. I was stunned to see the game with its amazing upgrades to its graphics, which made the fantasy worlds of Spyro feel more alive and more interesting to look at. Every character in the game got a full makeover, and it was a delight to see. Let's start off by talking about Spyro and how well he looks now. Due to the graphics limitations of the PS1, characters and stages will come out looking blocky, which for characters that had a round shape to their design made them kinda weird looking. They look kinda like multiple-sided dice. In the remake though, everything is smooth and rounded, and blimey, Spyro looks amazing. No longer does he have sharp edges on him, which made it look like if you hugged him, you would get cut by his sharp edges. Now, he looks like a creature I would take home to replace my dogs with. But I wouldn't do that because I love my pups. And I was curious as to how the other dragons looked as well, and to my surprise, each dragon is well made and have their own designs, giving each one of them more character. Oh, and to back up for a sec and talk about the story, if you haven't played the game before, basically the dragons insulted the big bad bald green guy, and he turned them all into stone in retaliation for their insults, as you do. Don't believe me? Check out the insults they dish out towards him.
Nasty Nork is a simple creature.
Simple?
He has been contained in a remote world and is no threat to the Dragon Kingdom.
No threat?
Besides, he is ugly.
Ugly? That does it!
Have to say at this part, Nasty looks like a fellow who just realized taxes and bills are forever, but his marriage isn't. In the original game, each dragon looked almost exactly identical with one another, with just small changes in different colors being used to make them look different from each other. Now each dragon has their own design, meaning I was more curious in finding the dragons on each level just to see what they looked like and see what kind of personalities they had based on their design and little mannerisms. Let me show you some examples.
This portal leads to a special place where you can learn to fly. I remember when I was a young dragon, earning my wings.
Learn to fly. Got it.
Dr. Shemp thinks he's so cool. You don't know what it's been like listening to him over and over. But I tell you one thing, he should watch his back.
Thanks for freeing me, Spyro. And now, where was I?
Hey, Spyro. Sparks the Dragonfly has been doing a good job protecting you. Make sure to keep him strong by feeding him lots of butterflies.
Watch the dragonfly, Spyro. His color indicates his power. When he eats butterflies, he stays strong, like me.
Sure.
The last dragon is my favorite because he makes coffee and I like coffee. Heck, even the villains look well made and are interesting to look at. They really did them well. I really love how they feel alive and energetic. I have to say, if they decide to do a series of shows for the Spyro universe, I think it should be based around the villain's daily life because they are interesting, funny, and have a lot of character about them. My favorite ones are the ones here that use a metal cape to stop Spyro from burning them, which looks cool, but sadly the cape doesn't stop his charge, so it's a losing cause. I also like the ones that run at you with such determination to take you out that they run headlong off edges. What a fine example of tenacity you are. What about the worlds? The worlds look stunning, and I have found myself just slowly walking around them just to see what they look like in full. Before I knew it, I was spending more time admiring the worlds instead of playing the objective of the game, which is saving the other dragons from their stony imprisonments that they kinda got themselves into by insulting Nasty Nork on TV. I mean, seriously, if you knew he had the ability to turn you into stone from a distance, then why provoke him? Also, if he already had that ability to do that, why didn't he do it sooner? Nasty, are you okay? Did your dear old mom drop you on your head or something? If so, that means we have something in common. The worlds are beautiful and are the best eye candy in a game I have seen in a long time. Which is perfect because if you want to 100% the game, backtracking isn't that bad because you are going to enjoy exploring the levels and see how much work they put into remaking these worlds. My favorite worlds are the frozen worlds because they look stunning and feel immersive. I mean, look at how amazing this level right here looks. If this place actually existed, I would pay money to go there. Which sounds like a great theme park idea, so whoever owns the rights to Spyro, jump on that idea immediately, please. And if the people working behind the registers aren't dressed as moneybags, I'm going to be upset. And with the topics of graphics out of the way, let's talk about the characters and their controls, starting with Spyro. Spyro, as you can suspect from the title of the game, is the main character that you play as, and I have to say they really did him justice with how well he controls. You can tilt the stick lightly and he will do a slow walk. Hold it all the way forward and he will go into a full run. And he can go from a standstill to a full charge with no problem, allowing you to take out larger enemies with just a press of a button. But turning becomes much harder to do at this speed. And the supercharge makes you so fast any of the villains in your path become nothing more than paste once you collide with them, but comes at the cost of tight turns being impossible to do at full speed. So don't expect to see yourself pulling off any dragon drifts around corners because you will fall off the edges. You can feel the weight in the movements, meaning that although Spyro is small and lightweight, he doesn't float around too much or doesn't snap around immediately when turning or performing any other actions. Jumping and gliding is satisfying once you learn his limitations with his jump height and jump distance, and knowing when the glide is going to be perfect for the area that you are in. Also, when you land, get hit, or charge into something, you can feel the impact. And I don't mean because of the vibrations in the controls. It's hard to explain, but I'll give it a shot anyway. I think it has to do with how Spyro reacts to the impacts. When he is hit by the enemies, he doesn't immediately recover. It takes a sec before he moves again, and the same applies for when he runs into a wall. He reacts to the hit and does a little animation and then is on the move again. Little things like this add life and weight to the characters, and in my opinion, I like it. But I don't think Spyro enjoyed the multiple times I rammed him headfirst into an indestructible wall for the sake of this clip and for my own amusement. I have become the avatar of the god Insanity. Also, his flames are easy to use and fun to use. One thing that makes this fire really great is that it lingers in the air for a brief second, which helps with hitting moving targets. Especially when it comes to chasing those egg thieves, cause they are fast and as annoying as a backed up toilet. So timing your fire breath just right at corners can help you a lot with catching these jerks. Sparks the Dragonfly, your lovable sidekick, also has smooth controls. Okay, you just press the stick down and he points towards the direction of the gems to help you find them if you are struggling to locate them. But he also helps keeps track of your health. Yellow means full health, blue means 3/4 health, green means half health, and if you don't see Sparks at all, don't worry. If you aren't careful from that point on, you will be joining him soon. However, you can bring him back and your health back by feeding him butterflies. Once you see any little critters walking around, minding their own business, you need to end them. That's right, the only way to keep yourself alive is by killing the wildlife in the area to replenish your health. Spyro lives in a dark world where he is at the top of the food chain with his buddy Sparks by his side laughing at all of those below him. As you can see, once you roast or charge these little critters, a butterfly pops out of nowhere and Sparks will chase it down with hungry murderous eyes and then gulp it down with one big bite. But where did the butterflies come from though? Did the animals immediately get reincarnated as a butterfly and then are running for their lives as soon as they see this old dragonfly? Trying to devour them? Life as a butterfly is horrible in the Spyro worlds. Let's move on to the levels. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the levels received an amazing graphical upgrade which really makes the levels feel far more memorable and more worth exploring just for the beauty alone. In honesty, most players will be exploring the levels for the gems, and they will not be disappointed in the levels. The levels start off basic and have a good flow to them, and as the levels get even more creative, they don't seem to lose the level of smooth flow about them. There are a few spots where you will lose momentum, like the areas that require you to use a speed boost because you will ram into the walls, trying to get used to the speed and figuring out where you need to go. But once you get the hang of it, it is fun and you can see how far you can push yourself to keep the speed boost traveling around the level. Okay, I have to be honest, there are a couple of levels that don't have a smooth flow to them. And one level best used as an example for this is the treetops level. This is because the speed boost is a main way of getting around, and jumping on this level can be a bit finicky for some reason. Some people say the original wasn't this hard, and I don't remember it being that hard either, so I don't know why it is so much harder in the remake. Trying to hit this spot right here had me as irritated as a cat in a water park filled with dirty water. It took a few tries to make the jump, but each time I failed, I had no idea what I was doing wrong. Was I not fast enough? Was I not jumping at the right time? Was I not jumping high enough? I just wasn't sure what I was doing wrong, but eventually I got it. Oh, and here's a little heads up, you will have to make this jump if you want to complete the game 100%, so consider yourself warned for a good amount of annoyance. If you're a completionist, then you are going to find this game relaxing to finish at 100%. You can take the levels at a steady pace and have no need to rush except for the flying time trial levels, which personally I am not a big fan of. You have to fly through rings and hit required targets in order to add time to your clock and finish the level before time runs out by flying through said rings and hitting required targets. I would fail a few times before I figured out a good pattern to use, and once I did, I found myself trying to beat my best time every so often just to see if I could. Then I would just fly around the level just to see the level of detail that they put into these spots. And another thing that makes the levels feel great is the music. By my eardrums, the music is wonderful and it fits the levels they are assigned to. I am still learning about how copyright works and game music works on YouTube, so I am not going to play the music here, but I recommend that you look the music up yourself and give it a listen, and you will not be disappointed. I actually listen to some of this stuff whenever I'm doing chores or something, or just wanting to relax. But here is where I have to talk about some bad things about the game. Unfortunately, when they remade this game, they decided to remake it exactly the same way it was as the original in terms of bosses. The bosses in the original and the remake can't even be considered bosses because they just stand there and let you attack them and add nothing to the game. Some of the common enemies put up better fights and make the game more of a challenge than the bosses do. In fact, you can fly right through a boss level with no problem, get to the end, and will find yourself asking yourself, where's the boss? I have no idea why they decided not to upgrade them in any other way other than just giving them a graphical upgrade. Nostalgia can be a good thing, but this is an example of nostalgia not being wanted by anybody. The gamers of the original game didn't like it, they don't like it now, and the newer gamers getting into the series do not like it either. Even Nasty Norg was such a pushover that I consider these lizards as more terrifying than him. At least these little fellas are trying. All in all, this is not a perfect game and it is not an awful game. I do recommend it for everyone to give it a try, but I know this kind of game is not for everyone. Luckily, this is a game that is easy to pick up and get used to, and it is great for everyone of all ages, except for people who have a fear of dragons. Yes, that is a thing. Look it up. Don't want to. I did it for you, and here it is. Yeah, that is a thing. In all honesty, if a giant fire-breathing, human-eating dragon was real, I would absolutely be turn my blue jeans into brown jeans terrified. But don't be terrified of Spyro, cause he is your friend. This is a great game for people getting into gaming. This is a great game for people who are wanting to get into platformer games, or just people, both young and old, who want to relax in their spare time. And that's what I do when I'm having a bad day and just want to clear my head for an hour or so. If you stayed to the end of the video, I would just like to say thank you for watching. And I hope you have a good day, and if you decide to pick up this game, I hope you have a fun time playing it. I know the quality of my videos are not that great, and I apologize for the terrible quality, but as I continue, I will continue to focus on my quality in my videos and my quality in myself.